across the oceans till we found the American dream.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for inviting us. My name is Ingrid Lemme, and this is my show, American Dream. A show about people, their hopes, their dreams, their family heritage, and their unbelievable realities. My guest today is somebody really, really interesting. I shall say probably from the film industry is a good term. Miss Jacqui Lofaro, please help me welcome Miss Jacqui. To give you just a little idea of who are we discovering, whose life are we discovering today here at Gurney's Inn in Montauk today. Jacqui Lofaro, founder and executive director of the Hamptons Take Two Documentary Film Festival, which is an annual 3-day event of all dogs all day at the Bay Street Theater in Sag Harbor. Owner of Justice Productions, where she produces, directs documentaries on social justice issues, one of which received the prestigious Thurgood Marshall Broadcast Journalism Award.
Right.
Did I get that right?
You got it.
This is such a little tiny fraction of a huge bio that I had no idea. So I said to myself, my God, this lady must be 150 years old. Nobody can accomplish it, and here she is, a beautiful Italian woman, great skin.
Thank you.
Jacqui,
Thank
now
you.
the show is all yours. I want to know a little bit, first of all, family heritage. Italian.
Italian, right. Both parents Italian.
Really?
Yeah, they were both born in the States.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the village.
Yeah. And what about Sunday gravy?
Well, yes, but we didn't call it gravy. My mother was not the best cook in the world. But she cooked
I never
Italian
heard of an Italian woman who didn't cook.
She did cook Italian food, though. And yeah, there were lots of traditions. I mean, I remember the tradition of my father going to Ferrara's Bakery down in Little Italy and bringing back the cannolis. You know, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
And the holidays, you all got together, and so it was that wonderful. And I lived in Greenwich Village, so the village then was very different from now.
Yes.
You know, the Italians lived east of 6th Avenue, and the Irish were west.
Yes.
You know, and when it snowed, you'd have snow fort wars, and it was great. Very different demographic than what it is today.
Different lifestyle than it is here where you're living now.
That's right.
In the Hamptons.
I've been here for about 25, 26 years, but first part of my life was in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the country grows on you. Then, 25 years ago, it still was considered the country.
Yes. Oh, yes, very much the country.
Now it's a
In
different
fact, when I
story.
moved out here, I wondered what I had done, you know, because it was so quiet.
Jacqui, give
compared
me
to
a little bit
Manhattan.
about education. I mean, obviously, there is some kind of a background that brought you to film.
The background is communications.
Yes.
I was a communications arts major in college. I went to Fordham University, and part of our program was manning WFUV, the radio station, which we did every Sunday. We'd have to do the news and special programming.
You did
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and so I then had, as part of my career, I was a copywriter for various companies, and then opened my own company.
Really?
Warsaw Communications, and
Why Warsaw?
because that was my married name.
I see.
Yeah, and we had lots of fashion accounts. You know, we had Pierre Cardin, Nino Cerruti.
That's big.
Oh yeah, we used to do lots of vacation shoots, but it could drive you over the brink. You know, I mean, it was
Stressful.
very stressful.
Very stressful, yes.
So after that career, which is why you had such a long resume, and I was also writing at that time. I was doing a lot of freelance writing for various magazines like Vogue, Self, Working Woman.
I couldn't believe it.
I know.
Read through your bio, I was like, you are kidding me.
I
When did she sleep?
I didn't. And
But you must have had this intense craving for attention, for sharing, for designing, for creating. maybe.
Creating.
Yes.
I mean, it was all a wonderful creative
Yes.
opportunity. And
How did your family work into this picture?
Well, my mom and dad were very proud, you know.
Of course, come
Yeah.
on. I mean, who has a daughter who writes for Vogue?
Right. I mean, and, you know, their education was limited by for economic reasons, so they lived vicariously through my sister and myself.
Very proud of their kids, of course.
Yeah.
You know, that's very much what the American dream often is. People come into this country. I think it is quite often forgotten, we leave politics out, but quite often forgotten how important immigration is to this country, how important it is. They bring in this fresh blood of wanting to make it.
Yes, texture. In fact, the Italian heritage, my name is Jacqueline, and my sister's name was Francine. We both had French names because my mother wanted us to have not an Italian identity.
Really?
Yes, so it was very interesting.
So you don't speak any Italian?
I do. I speak Italian. I've been studying Italian for like, I don't know, 18 years with Canio Pavone, right?
Yeah. So, and you travel to Italy? You visited Italy frequently?
Yes, I love Italy. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful place. Great lifestyle.
Now, coming out to
the East End.
There was something missing.
Well,
and you knew what was missing and you put it there.
Well, I left New York because I was just burned out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd had enough of deadlines.
The city has a way of getting to you, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
And I moved out and was here just a little bit and then went to live in Italy to write the great American novel, right? Which I never wrote.
Yeah.
I wrote lots of letters, but I had a great time.
Yeah.
And then I came back and to the community, to Bridgehampton, and became involved doing volunteer work for the group for the East End, which was then Group for the South Fork, and got involved in writing their newsletters and annual reports, again, using those communication skills.
Sure.
Got very involved with the League of Women Voters and became part of their leadership effort. And it also, I was working at, I think you'll be interviewing him soon, Fraser Doherty, who had created LTV, and I
Which
was...
is a local television station
it's a
for
public,
our tri-state viewership, a local television station on the east end of Long Island.
It's a public access station,
Yep.
right. And I worked there with 2 other people making environmental films. And we did a series called Living with Nature, and it was with Larry Penny and Ramesh Das. We were a team, we were Terra TV, and we created a series of about 28 half-hour programs on everything from bluebirds to hurricanes to cranberry bogs. And it was wonderful because I got to see parts of the East End that many people do not.
Now, this is very different what the city girl in you was used to.
Yes. Right.
Why environmental issues?
I just have a penchant and a passion for environmental issues. And the East End is, we are our environment. I mean, that's what makes it so special.
Yeah.
All of it.
When we build up too much, this is all going to go.
Yeah. So we have to be mindful. Yeah. And then that led to becoming involved in more serious films like Justice Productions and the first serious documentary on the death penalty, which I did with a partner who is now passed, Victor Teisch.
Now, I just want to put in a word for Victor Teisch.
Right.
He was my very first director.
Really?
He gave freely because I started at LTV, and I want to give LTV a plug. They gave a chance to many of us very starter shows.
Yeah.
Jackie, I have to take a break. You know, in the world of TV, we have to take breaks to be back in a moment. On the American Dream Show, overlooking the ocean in beautiful Montauk at Gurney's Inn, filmmaker, and then some Jacqui Lofaro. Jackie, we were talking about Justice Productions. There is one film that, or documentary, I should say, what always comes to mind right away, and that's The Empty Chair.
Right.
Please talk about it.
Okay. The Empty Chair is a documentary based on families who've lost somebody to murder, whether it's a father, a mother, a son, a daughter, and they're going through the process of the trials and the sentencing and the punishment. And Vic Teiche and myself it took us about 7 years to produce this documentary, between fundraising and production. But we followed 4 stories, and one of them actually took us to death row. And B.K. Knighton had been accused of a murder. He was a bad guy, and he should have been away. And he had murdered the parents of Sue Norton. Mm. But Sue Norton had befriended him. And in fact, it was the only friend he ever had. And she says in the film that I've never hated anybody in my life, and I'm not going to start with you. If you're guilty, I forgive you, which was extraordinary, because that was not the response for everyone. And for 12 years, she visited him on death row, and he had been scheduled for execution. It had been stayed, it had been stayed, it had been stayed. And finally, the appeals process was finished. And he was scheduled to be executed in spring. And I knew that from a journalistic standpoint, that the story had to be completed by going to that execution. And we were lucky enough to get press credentials from the Shimizi brothers. We were able to get there, and went out to Oklahoma, and I was going to witness the execution, which is something that was sort of theoretical in my mind, you know, that the reality of it didn't hit me. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we were ushered in with all the other press corps people, some of whom had had experience at this. And I realized that, my God, you know, in a half an hour, I'm going to witness someone being killed. And there was a young reporter next to me who had been following the trial. She'd followed the trial 10 years ago. And it was delayed. The execution was delayed by, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. But at the time that it was scheduled for 6 o'clock, it's now like 6:30, at 6 o'clock, you could hear the banging of the cups on whatever they were banging on the cells, which is the solidarity of the inmates to the person being executed. We went in, and we were seated with Sue Norton and her husband and some of the defense attorneys, and behind us in another glass, with a glass partition, was the rest of Sue Norton's family who were pro-execution. They wanted him done. And the curtain opens up, and there is a gurney, and it happens within a relatively short period of time, except that it took him 8 minutes to die. It was not an easy, you know, you give somebody the various chemicals and they go. It was horrendous. And when it was over, they ushered Sue Norton off the prison grounds. And then they ushered everybody else and the rest of the family to the press conference. You've seen those press conferences. They're all pretty standard. And then we went through that press conference and then went outside the prison grounds to interview Sue Norton and to hear her side. And what's interesting about that was that the film was made, the film has been out, the film won the Thurgood Marshall Broadcast Journalism Award, and not until last year, so we're talking from 2004 to last year, which is, I was looking at some footage that had not been used in the film, and one of them was an interview with Sue Norton outside the prison. And while I was looking, I was editing with Matt Hindra, I totally broke down in tears. So this is like a delayed reaction of years later. Not allowed, you know, I had so compartmentalized the horror of that experience. And so, anyway, The Empty Chair is out there. It's The Empty Chair, Death Penalty, Yes or No, and it's really a wonderful documentary. And that was the first And then we made a second, which was forgiveness, 70 times 7, the forgiveness equation. And we follow Sue Norton and another family. And that's about what forgiveness is about. And that's pretty amazing.
And how you can forgive someone who took
right
one of
a
your
love's
loved
lives.
ones.
You don't have to condone what they did, but the forgiveness allows you to go on with your life. Yeah.
To become free again.
That's right. Yeah.
Because this person is living in your head.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
taking space
Yeah.
in your heart away from what you could actually all do with it, with this big heart.
Right.
Yeah. Jacqui Lofaro, interesting guest. I have to say, Jacqui Lofaro, please forgive me for mispronouncing your name. I want to go to Take Two.
Yes, to
Take
the film
Two.
festival, right.
That is something what was needed. We all knew it, but nobody had the guts to do it. It's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about it, please.
Well, I was on Bonnie Grace's radio show one morning, and she was talking about my last documentary film, which is about drug addiction and the drug courts. And she said, is it going to be in the Hamptons International Film Festival? I said, no, it didn't make it the cut. And she said, oh, that's terrible. You should you should do your own film festival. And I said, yeah, maybe I will. And that was the start of it. And I did. I started a film festival for documentary films, and to also give documentary filmmakers an opportunity, a second chance, a take two, to show their work. I mean, these are labors of love and
important subjects.
On important subjects. And some, you know, I mean, what are they if they're just stuck in your own, you know, computer or files?
Well, the venues have, exposure venues have opened up tremendously through YouTube.
Yeah.
Etc. It has given us more
more opportunity to see films. And you know, when documentary filmmakers play the festival circuit, that's an opportunity for them to get their films out. And we had a wonderful festival last year in December. We honored Susan Lacey, who is the creator of American Masters.
Yes.
And we screened the Leonard Bernstein, Reaching for the Note. We had a sold-out house at Bay Street Theater in Sag Harbor.
I heard it was a tremendous success. This year, I'm not going to miss it.
Don't. December 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yes.
We've got the date settled.
Oh, I know where I missed it. I was in South Africa. Yes, that's where I missed it.
Couldn't hop back from that.
I have to ask our film people, are we good for another break? Okay, we are taking a break, and we will come back after these messages.
Okay.
Thanks for staying with me and Jacqui Lofaro. Jacqui Lofaro, a woman of independent means. You are. You're going out for stories, you're going out for ideas, and you're just making them reality. I heard a lot about you, and I'm honored to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you.
And to go a little bit further into the Hamptons, forgive me, Take Two documentary film festival. It's a festival for the people. It's not really about the glamour and the nonsense, some would call bull.
It's not celebrity driven, deliberately, and it's not Hollywood driven. We really, it's a film festival created by filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, which gives it a different projection for filmmakers. And so we celebrate filmmakers, first-time filmmakers, legends, and we started out with just Suffolk County and then extended to Nassau, so it's all of Long Island and Manhattan. We say Montauk to Manhattan.
Montauk, good.
Montauk
that was
to
my
Manhattan.
question, Montauk to Manhattan.
And what was interesting about last year, and I think that made its festival so successful, is that we had 4 films by East End filmmakers on subjects that were East End subjects, which was great. We had a first-time filmmaker, Harry Hellfire from Greenport, Shelter Island, which won the Audience Award.
Really?
It was wonderful, about Harold Olson, an outsider artist. And what was great was that the theater was filled with the Two Forks. I mean, the people from Greenport came to the South Fork.
Right.
And the people from Shelter Island came. And it was this great meeting, which was very exciting, and it was all because of the festival. The filmmakers, needless to say, were thrilled. When you see your work on a big screen in a theater, it makes all of those hours that you're stuck in an edit room, you know, worthwhile. And we also have a portion of the festival for student filmmakers. And we, the Suffolk County Film Commission runs a competition called First Exposures, and it's high school kids who do docs, and there are many of them out there now, particularly because you have easy equipment and editing equipment. And there are about 12 to 15 winners from various schools, and then we pick 3 from that. And when they come to our festival and they see their work, I mean, it is just an amazing experience for them. Yeah.
We have my department here at Gurney's.
Right.
We have been talking, for those who are just tuning in, we are filming here at Gurney's Inn overlooking the ocean in Montauk. We've been talking about a weekend, an off-season weekend for women in film and television, like myself, like you.
Right.
Women coming together, relaxing, using the spa facilities, etc., and maybe doing something different in a sense what you did. You started a film festival. How do you start a film festival? Are there any manuals for this? How does one do that?
No, there really aren't. It evolves, you know, and we have wanted to not follow the classic blueprint, because you can do that and it's pretty easy to do that.
Yeah.
But we look for submissions from cinematographers guilds, from schools, from actual filmmakers who tell other filmmakers. We have, for example, a category called Filmmaker's Choice. And the Filmmaker's Choice is that every filmmaker who's been in our festival now, we're going into our 6th year, has an opportunity to nominate a filmmaker who they think is worthy to be part of the festival. And then our screening committee looks at those films and picks one, and we go with that.
What about talk shows? Talk show hosts like me. We never get any.
You need a festival.
No, I don't want to do a festival. Can you just make a category for people like me, please?
We'll think about it. We'll think about it, Ingrid.
Jacqui, filming these rather intense subjects have taken a toll on you. Because you get involved emotionally. There is no way not to get involved.
Right.
It's almost like being a doctor, medical people. It's like you see these are human beings.
Right.
How do you recover? I mean, you were telling us you broke down and sobbed. But what do you do to stay emotionally sane and healthy?
I try to focus on the goal. For example, this last documentary that I did on drug addiction and the drug treatment courts, I followed a handful of people who had been arrested on drug charges and who opted and to go through the drug treatment court, which is, instead of going to prison, they go to the drug treatment court.
Yeah.
And the drug treatment court is a tough program. I mean, you see the judge every week, you are drug tested randomly, you work with a social worker.
Randomly means somebody comes in and takes your urine.
Yes, exactly. And so we found 3 people who were great and followed them through the process, and hoping the whole while that they would
stay sober,
stay clean, and come to, and they all did. They all graduated, had a new life.
Really?
And then one relapsed. And it was so amazing because, you know, we're living with these people for all these years, and it was a young fellow, he was like 18 or 19, and he relapsed, and we were so deflated. But we knew we had to film that, so he agreed to let us interview him, and we did. So it's a roller coaster, but in the end, hopefully there's a good ending.
Yes, hopefully there is
Yeah,
a good
you have to have
ending.
hope
Yes.
in documentary
She's
filmmaking.
saying it, hopefully there is a good ending.
Yeah.
Jacqui Lofaro, we are looking out for your work, always
you.
will. We, of course, find her under justiceproductions.org.
Right.
Everything you want to know. The film festival is
HT2.
ht2ff.com,
Right.
which we are running anyway.
Right.
Guys, thanks for watching.